I'd like to welcome everybody to the council meeting. I want to Pastor Rick Mulligani from Fairhope Christian Church. Thank you for joining us.
Let's have a word of prayer. Most gracious and loving God, we come with hearts of gratitude tonight as we thank you for the privilege to gather here this evening to discuss plans for our fair city. We ask you for your guidance and wisdom as we discuss these plans, and we ask you to bless the leaders as well as all who have business here this evening. May we all work together to make Fairhope the place where all people are welcome and is for good for everybody. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council, just to everybody's aware, those who are not here for the work session, number 15 has been removed from the agenda. And we will move forward with number 1, which is the approval of the minutes of the November 28th regular city council meeting and the November 28th work session.
So move. Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Council, any changes or additions? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Minutes are approved. Next up, Mayor, your report.
Thank you, Council. Tonight I have a couple things on the agenda, but before that I just have a couple announcements. First, I just want to thank the churches that came together last night to host the live nativity down at the Bay. It was great. Great to see everybody from the community coming out for that. The police did a great job controlling traffic. I was down around the duck pond, and this is the first time that the churches have come together to do it in the past. Trinity Presbyterian has always put that on their campus, and so it was a great first year, and again, I think it was, a lot of participation, so thank you, churches, for taking care of that. Also, I wanted to commend again the gas department. They are recognized by the Public Service Commission as the gas system of the year by the Public Service Commission for the improvements that we've made to the gas department. And for I had one of the gentlemen who came up to me at the meeting and told me that this award was presented really because of the transparency and honesty of our employees in our department and the hard work that they are doing to improve our system. It's always great as a manager of people to hear that, because that's what they expect of government. That's what our citizens should expect of us as a body. And so I really appreciate the job they're doing, and appreciate them being so transparent and honest with everybody and doing the things that we need to do to provide great gas service. So the other thing that I have 2 more things, and the other thing I want to do first is recognize Miss Diane Thomas. Diane, if you'll come up. So Diane, most of you have seen Diane for 12 years. She has taken on her volunteer role as being head of our personnel department. And for those of you who've been around for 12 years, she's earned her pay, right? She has. She's definitely earned her pay. So we wanted to present Diane with a plaque tonight for her service, because, when we have these volunteer boards, you have people who roll off or they might get reappointed. There's not a lot of people that stay around, as long as like Gary Gover has on boards, or Diane, Gary would probably get the award for being on the most boards, right, for the most committees. But there are a lot of, Lee Turner's been here for a long year on Planning Commission, but personnel is one of those things that, you really get to interact with the employees. There are so many things that we've done, especially the compensation study, handbooks, everything throughout the years that really impact our employees, who are the lifeblood here of the city. And Diane has been so impactful and has just been, a great steward of our employees and the service that we want to provide here at the city. So thank you, Diane. We really appreciate it. And I have a plaque that says, presented to Diane Thomas for volunteering for 12 years by sharing her time and talents on the City of Fairhope Personnel Board and working as an advocate for the city employees. Sherry Sullivan, Mayor, and the Fairhope City Council, December 2022. Thank you.
It has really been my great privilege to serve on this board. And I told in our last meeting, I said it's the best volunteer job I ever had, because that board has made substantive and real contributions to the city. And I want to quickly go over 5 of what I think are the major accomplishments that the board has done. In 2012, the Personnel Board worked with Lisa Hanks, who was acting HR administrator and our contracted consulting firm, to develop and implement the city's first ever classification and compensation system for personnel management. That was huge. Took about 2 or 3 years to develop it, and then it took a lot of years to fully implement. A special thank you is owed to Lorenzo Howard, who was a former board member. He taught the board everything that we knew about classification and compensation, and he spent a lot of hours working on that project. The Personnel Board, together with the city's HR attorney, developed the current pre-disciplinary appeal process for non-exempt and some exempt employees, including the procedures for conducting the appeal hearings. That's been invaluable. Number 3, the Personnel Board was instrumental in revising the no-tolerance drug policy, which also includes a provision for employees to voluntarily request help prior to any positive drug test. However, once an employee tests positive, there is no tolerance. Number 4, the Personnel Board has been a strong advocate for a formalized city safety program and a full-time safety coordinator. This has been accomplished under this administration. And number 5, the Personnel Board has been a strong advocate for a more adequately staffed HR department, which also has been achieved under this administration. I think every budget cycle for 12 years, I was here to say you can't have an HR department of just one person. And we finally made great strides this year. These are all important past accomplishments, but there are new challenges ahead. And I want you to know that you have an extremely strong personnel board. In fact, I think it's the strongest board we've ever had. And I want to introduce you to the new face who's going to be up here, maybe for 12 years. Jeannie, stand up. This is Jeannie Frazier, and she's finishing a term, I think, as head of the Pirate Booster Club. And she has graciously accepted to be the new chairman. She's been on the board since 2017, and professionally, before she took a new job, she was district sales manager for Public Services, covering South Alabama and the Florida Panhandle. Jake O'Neill, who's not here tonight, he's been on the board since 2019, and he is serving as board secretary. He has owned and operated Precision Tune Auto Care in Daphne since 2011, so he's really familiar with the personnel issues of a small business owner. Rob Stankowski, I think, is known to all of y'all. He has practiced law in Fairhope for the last 25 years. He joined the board in 2015. And our newest members, Terry Ulrich, who retired as Vice Chancellor of LSU Health Science Center, and in that position he dealt with finance and personnel matters. And finally, Tyler Garner, who has been employed by Airbus since 2016 in various management positions and just was promoted to be head of the whole 320 line. So folks, that's your personnel board. You're in really good shape. It's been an honor to work with all of y'all. I'm just sad that Kevin's not here tonight because he has been the best council liaison any board could have ever asked for. Thank you.
I don't think that most of the people understand how invaluable these volunteers are who work on our boards here at the city. I mean, they bring invaluable resources and knowledge to these boards and really give great counsel to not only the council liaisons who are there, but me. So Diane, too, I hate to admit this, but I think you've been through 5 or 6 HR directors. Yes. So she has had to retrain somebody, every couple of years, which I hate. But I think hopefully, Corey, you can't leave in 2 years.
Yeah,
so,
and
you gotta
Diane,
hold out.
I do also hate that Kevin's not here because I am never going to tell him you said he was the best council liaison ever. So
That's right. Thank you, and Jeannie, we look forward to working with you. Thank you. So the next person I want to recognize is somebody who's near and dear to my heart, Mr. Bob Mull. Bob is also a volunteer. He's been a volunteer with the Nick Center. He takes care of the Nick Center golfers. So every Tuesday morning at 7:45 or 8, depending on time the I guess, daylight savings time or whatever, the Nick Center golfers are out at the golf course. They have about 40 to 50 golfers, if maybe sometimes a little bit more, who meet every Tuesday morning. And Bob has been the person responsible for how many years, Bob? 16 plus years. So he has been responsible for organizing those, herding all those cats, getting their handicaps, making sure they're there, pairing them up with people they like, people they want to golf with, which is always a challenge. All kinds of stuff. So you can only imagine the phone calls that he has taken, the friends that he has made, and the great golf that has been played, and the stories that have been told. Stan Grubin had this job before Bob, and he was a great trainer of Bob, but I want to recognize Bob for his years of service to the Nick Center. Bob, you want to come up? Yeah, I'll give you time. I'm going to read while you're walking. So this says, Certificate of Appreciation presented to Bob Mull. In recognition of your many years of service to the City of Fairhope and the Nick Center golfers, I commend you on your countless hours of volunteer service to coordinate, organize, and execute golf outings for the members of the Nick Center. Your service over the years is certainly something to be celebrated, acknowledged, and commemorated by presenting this Certificate of Appreciation to you, and best wishes for your future endeavors.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You want to say anything?
Well, it's been a great 16 years, 16 plus years. We moved down here to just be with our son, who was one of the first doctors here. I think Jack knows him. And we didn't know that 20-some years we'd still be here. And the 16 years I put in doing, I've had wonderful people to work with. And it's been a joy for me. When I lost my wife 5 years ago, this gave me something extra to do. And I started out with the best boss anyone could have. And I have enjoyed it. I have a Kathy Brown who brought me here tonight. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here today, because I had a heart condition and she rushed me to the hospital a little over a month ago and brought me back. So that's why I'm here this time.
God bless you.
Ron Kozlowski, the fellow with the glasses on, is taking my place, and he'll do a great job. So I have enjoyed it all, and I thank everybody so much.
Okay, and Bob would like a member with all the council. Could y'all come down? Let's get a quick picture.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Bob, we're gonna get right here. Get right here. Get right here. Get everybody?
You still gonna hit the ball, ain't you, Mr. Brown? You still gonna hit the ball, aren't you? Yes, I'll try. Okay. Stay around. Okay. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
And that concludes my report, other than to say, I guess we'll be back here on the 21st, prior to, before Christmas, so,
Yes.
thank you.
Time to be determined at this one.
Good Lord willing.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mayor. Next up on our agenda is public participation for agenda items. So if you have public comments on items 5 through 17, now is your opportunity. Going once, closed. Item number 4, council comments. Councilman Burrell.
Yes, sir. Just to commend the gas department on the award from the Public Service Commission. Good job, and to all of the departments that work in the city of Fairhope. All of you, I know that the department heads come to the meetings, but just be sure to extend a thanks during this Christmas season to all of the employees, and that we do appreciate it. And we had a great Christmas luncheon last week, And so appreciate everybody coordinating that. It was a good turnout, and I had a good time. So just be safe out there, and everybody have a great time this holiday season.
Councilman Martin?
Just want to say Merry Christmas. I think we'll see again, but that's all I have.
No
Councilman Conyers?
comments here tonight.
No comments. All right, I have no comment either. We will move right along into agenda item number 5, which is final adoption of an ordinance to amend zoning, to amend ordinance number 1664 and 1708, known as the Clump PUD. The property of Gayfer Village Partners, Inc. is approximately 75.85 acres and is generally located on the west side of State Highway 181 between Gayfer Road Extension and Fairhope Avenue.
Thank you, Council President. We did hear this during the public hearing, so I always kind of summarize this one. If you need more information, I'll be happy to answer any questions. This is a project we've seen for a couple of years now. It's the third amendment to this PUD. Throughout everything, I want to make sure everybody understands there's not been an increase in housing units. There's actually been a reduction in this of the commercial square footage or square footage to the assisted living retirement center area. The red circle on the screen shows a connection that was intended for Highway 181. After permitting through the Corps, this was going to be very challenging, so they came back and asked for amendment to remove that connection as presented on the screen. The Planning Commission made a recommendation to add a road to Gayfer, and instead of coming to council, they they paused for a few months and actually performed that work. So looked at how that was going to be made. So in front of you today is a revised plan, 4 pages of site plans and an ordinance that would amend this PUD. It creates that connectivity to Gayfer Avenue or Gayfer Extension. It reduces the acreage on Unit 3 to provide constructed wetlands there to handle some of the drainage, and every other thing within this amendment is minor to accommodate those 2 changes, basically for that road. So Unit 2 was reduced by 1/4 of an acre, for example, but we still have the same number of lots, same number of units. The Unit 3 acreage, what's feasible to build the assisted living and nursing home, has been reduced. But other than that, we do have 7 we have a recommendation from the Planning Commission and staff unanimously to approve this with the 7 conditions on the screen. I won't read those again unless you need me to.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Council, anybody got any additional comments for questions for Hunter?
I think we talked about this last meeting.
Okay. So hearing no comments or questions?
Well, just real quick, did we come to a conclusion about the sidewalk? We said there is a route out that goes out towards Fairhope Avenue for the school kids. I believe we had a discussion.
We
to make
did have
sure
that discussion.
That was resolved, and we're okay with that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we didn't look at site, but yes, there's actually a couple of ways to get from one side to the
Safe
other.
ways. It's the most important for our kids' safety is what we were looking at. Yeah.
All right.
Now, getting from this site to the schools is outside the scope of this project, but it is something we're looking at in the safe routes to school.
I know some analysis.
Council, if nobody has any other questions for Hunter, I will entertain a motion on item number 5.
So moved.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, clerk, will you call the question?
Place 1,
Aye.
place 2,
Aye.
place 3,
Aye.
Council President.
Aye. All right, motion carries. Item number 6 is final adoption to amend an ordinance to establish initial zoning of R.W. Battles LLC property to B2 General Business District, concurrent with conditional annexation into the city of Fairhope. The property is approximately 21.18 acres and is located on the northwest corner of Greeno Road and Old Battles Road.
Thank you. Again, we had the public hearing. This one's a little easier to see because it's actually under construction. This is the public site. with the out parcels all coming in as one annexations to straight B2. The two properties, you can follow, if you follow this convoluted blue line, you can see that there are two properties not part of this annexation, where you see the red on the Old Battles Road right of way. Those will remain in the county at this time. This is a zoning map. Really, the only thing we noted was in our current form of the comp plan, this intersection was not evaluated really for commercial, but again, as we all know, this was approved as unzoned property. Most of the area around now has county zoning, but we in the new comp plan that's already being looked at, you'd have to address some of the development patterns. So this has been given a node designation. B2 chart and uses are on the screen. So as those out parcels are developed, they'll have to follow the city's standards on that. That's the snippet of a draft new comp plan map. And we did have a condition, number one, coming from the Planning Commission, who unanimously recommended approval. But this has been taken care of, another route. So we have no conditions, and staff also unanimously recommended approval.
Council, any questions at this point?
Hunter, at the last planning commission meeting, the two parcels that are still in the county, the convoluted, as you mentioned, were those, did we talk about those in the planning commission? Weren't those?
These two are the ones we mentioned, I believe. This one, you know, the process I think the county did, they formed a committee, staff, planning commission looked at zoning. And I believe don't quote me here, but I believe the kind of hatched area and the B4 were discussed throughout. They looked at the current property owners, how do you want it to be rezoned? And I believe this is a state zoning, so 80,000 square foot lots. And then this is B4, which was what the Publix was. They wanted to be that way. And I don't know what this was recommended, but this did get to when it got to the Baldwin County Planning Commission, it was proposed during that meeting. I believe that meeting might have been, you know, how things get held over from meeting to meeting. It was asked to rezone this to high density residential, and they did receive that zoning designation through the county. That was the one we specifically did talk about with the 15 units per acre apartments, with the buffers and things like that. I don't think they could get 15 units per acre there, but it's what the density allows.
Council, I will entertain a motion for item number 6.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any additional comments or questions? Hearing none, clerk, will you please call the question?
Place 1.
Aye.
Place 2.
Aye.
Place 3.
Aye.
Council President.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 7 is final adoption, an ordinance discontinuing the issuance of building permits outside of the corporate limits within the police jurisdiction and repealing ordinance number 1129 regarding the issuance of building permits within the police jurisdiction of the City of Fairhope, Section 7-16 of the City of Fairhope Code of Ordinances. We discussed this, obviously, at the last meeting. You know, this is something that if we don't do it tonight, it will go into effect automatically on July of 23. So I guess first question is, council, do I have a motion to approve item number 7?
I'll make a motion. We approve item number 7.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Council, any further discussion, questions, comments?
I have a question for Hunter. So this was going to take effect in, I think, July 1, regardless of this action. I think that there's some benefits to taking this action tonight, but I want to ask you if we pass this tonight, in essence, 6 months before it would take effect due to the Senate Bill 107. Do you know of anything going on that people would rush to, maybe unzoned county property, and it would have an adverse effect on our city that may not occur otherwise if we held on to this jurisdiction, say, until end of June?
So, you know, it's confusing a little bit, but the
Oh, it's
jurisdiction's
confusing.
been.
No,
Yeah.
the whole SB 107 is confusing.
Right. And timing and it's kind of the boundaries, jurisdiction's been shrinking a little bit. So by the time you get settled in, it's changed again, and would again in July. There have been some developments outside of our current jurisdiction, but I know of nothing. Number one, we've had a moratorium, for the better part of 11 months now. So we haven't been talking about new developments that's happening in that area. And then this is dealing with a permit. So there's a lag time when we start seeing things and it shows up to building permit, you know, getting through planning commission, getting through all those reviews. You know, that's 2-3 months at best to get through some of those. Once we have a pre-application meeting and they start talking to utilities about what's available. So I don't know anything on the radar, because of some of those things. So could a pile of applications hit? Absolutely, but we're not in the loop on know what those are. So.
If I could, Council President, I just have one comment. I just want to clarify with everybody, as of right now, this does not impact our police jurisdiction, because we have had that call and some questions. So it is not impacting our police jurisdiction. By the Code of Alabama, we cannot make a change to our police jurisdiction until October. So if we choose to do that, we will do that in October of '23, and it would not go into effect until January of '24.
All right, council, I've got a motion and a second. Any additional comments on item number 7? Hearing none.
Place 1,
Aye.
place 2,
Aye.
place 3.
Aye.
Council President.
Aye. All right, item 7 passes. Item number 8 is to approve the 2023 regular city council meetings. Council, I do hope you've gone through these dates, because as your council president, in order to be more efficient, we are meeting every Monday of the month in '23. So I hope you've verified that.
I quit.
You'll be by yourself.
Just kidding, just kidding. All right, guys, do I have a motion to approve the 2023 regular city council meetings?
So second.
All right, got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. All right, motion carries. I'm sorry?
Was the time going to change on December 21st?
Yeah, 2 o'clock to
Of
December 20.
of,
Oh, wait a
Oh, I
minute.
forgot that would be in the,
That's in that,
on the ones we're approving.
is that in this one?
no, that's.
No,
this-
okay, never mind.
no, it's not on this one.
That's not on
Well,
this
you
one.
still need to make sure if it's 2 o'clock or whatever time you want it to be.
This one, oh, yeah,
No,
okay,
25th,
yeah.
maybe?
No. So.
Is
yeah,
2
I'm-
o'clock
I'm
okay?
sorry, Lisa, yeah, you are correct. We do have on here the regular scheduled council meeting for '23 in December. The second one would be on Christmas Day. We don't
Just
want to do
approve it.
that.
No.
Can't go back now. We got to
No.
be Christmas Day.
No, I thought we knew that we were approving this change that I see.
Well,
in the
technically, it does say
Council, your
at
plans?
2
It's-
PM,
it says-
but we
Right.
approved
Okay.
2 PM, not the
Great.
or.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, 2 p.m.
All right,
Yeah, what's on here? Yeah, okay.
judgment stands. We're
Yeah,
moving
so-
on.
Judgment? Oh, you're the judge.
Correct. Overruled.
He's practicing.
Let's keep going.
He's practicing.
All right, and I had add some yays and no nays.
We're good.
Yeah. Didn't I?
We voted.
What says the crowd? Did I have it or did I
We
not?
voted. Yeah, we have it.
Moving on.
Moving on, 9.
All right, number 9, site plan review and approval, request of the applicant SE Civil LLC, acting on behalf of the owner, FST Robert N. Graham LLC, for site plan approval of Starbucks. The subject property is Zone B2, General Business District, and is approximately .7 acres.
Oh, no.
You are now in contempt. Thank you for that. property is located on the southeast corner of Fairhope Avenue and US Highway 98.
Thank you, Council President. This is a site plan review, so not a public hearing. This did go through the Planning Commission a few months ago, actually. We've kind of had a couple of things that delayed getting it to you. This is 0.7 acres. It is located in the middle of Eastern Shore Shopping Center. Kind of on the screen, you see the zoning. The parcel sits here in this area between the two entrances from Greeno Road. Flip through some of these real quick as we talked about in the work session. We did review a slightly different plan during the Planning Commission meeting. I'm going to show you updates, but we checked for all the things we look at. I think everything was met within the property, the site as we just looked at. So we look at landscaping, we look at the lighting, the traffic flows, all of those things. Landscape plan was approved. The parking, it's shared parking agreement will be provided here. So one of the conditions you'll see is they'll have to do that before we get a parking agreement. In that shared parking agreement, you've got different businesses within the shopping center with different peak hours. It doesn't make sense to use the strictest criteria of our parking ordinance, where you just have tons of unused parking spaces. So we looked at these things: pedestrian connectivity, signage, all the utilities, traffic again, and it went to the Planning Commission meeting, who did unanimously recommend approval of this case, but they added the condition in red. So the applicant will work with staff to add more landscape features. That kind of, you hear the conversation to kind of reiterate the condition and what it meant. It was the overall parking lot of Eastern Shore Shopping Center. So as we were working through that, the corporate Starbucks made a change to their site plan and changed the double row. So you see some slight differences. They're still meeting all the major criteria. They're actually removing 20 feet at the front of abutting Greeno to provide a landscape buffer as required now in our ordinances. There's stacking we talked about from the beginning. Striping of the overall plan of the overall shopping center is going to help with some of the circulation. It's the landscape plan for the actual site, for the Starbucks site. And then to accommodate the Planning Commission's recommendation, there have been tree islands planted or proposed with trees within those islands as shown on the screen. So we're looking at a really big scale here. It looks tiny, but I think anybody that's been through this shopping center, it's really confusing. The striping has been faded. The drive aisles are really wide, so I think the tree lines start to narrow those down, help with circulation, getting crosswalks, striped crosswalks through the islands. And then as well, the one's not shown here is shown on the landscape plan. I believe here. So there is an island there as well that helps direct some of the circulation within that parking lot. Slightly different building layout, but otherwise looks similar to what was presented at the Planning Commission meeting. So you see the elevations. So with that said, we did leave the 4 conditions, but I believe the condition was met. We did have a conversation during the work session. I'm going to go back to a plan. This one, I believe, helps that, and I think we had the conversation here as people are entering from Greeno. This is one-way traffic heading south through the parking lot. So something that would deter vehicles coming in from this area was discussed. Mm-hmm. And I just talked to the applicants. I don't think that's a problem. So I'll be happy to work with them to see what that looks like, but a little planting island in there, I think visually and physically helps to create that barrier.
So before we get to that, Larry, you're okay with that? So before we get to that too, so we would need to add a recommendation to.
Condition.
The list of recommendations. It'd be like number 5.
Condition.
We were gonna
Yeah.
pass the resolution
Yes.
with what would that sound like, Hunter?
Adding an island near the south entrance, a traffic or landscape island.
Add a landscape island to the near south entrance to help divert.
One way.
Yeah. Yeah, you can just do that and we can
Approved by
administratively
staff.
approve that.
To be approved by staff?
That would be
Okay.
great.
Sound fair?
And applicants are here, so if you have any questions from them.
Okay.
Council, first, I guess I'll entertain a motion for number 9 to start.
So moved.
All right, we've got a motion.
Is that for the,
Okay,
conditions and the additional conditions?
let me do it correctly. I would make a motion with the added condition of number 5, which gives us an island to deter traffic from making a left turn and a right turn only on that south end of the parking lot. Is that clear?
And the,
I think you need to have the motion with the 5 recommendations.
yeah, with the.
With the
Yeah,
what?
1
yeah,
through
yeah,
4.
All
yeah, 'cause
5.
You said with the 5th recommendation, not.
Along
It's all
with
5.
Yeah.
adding the 5th
Okay.
recommendation or condition is what I said. Adding the 5th
Fourth
condition,
condition.
the 4th, adding the 5th condition to the 4,
He's still-
with an island on the south end of the parking lot to deter traffic from making a left-hand turn.
Okay.
Yep.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion and a second. Council, any additional questions for Hunter or the applicant that are here on this item?
No, this has been kicked around for a while now. There was a lot of moving parts to this, but actually, this is a very key part of our community that will get a little bit of an uplift here, a facelift that is going to be really good for the community. So we're excited to see this happening.
It's gonna be good for that entire shop.
For the entire shop.
That
That's right.
whole entire
So,
shop.
so we're very excited and appreciative of that.
Yeah, the only question I'll ask is just as far as the layout and the ingress and egress of this, are we comfortable that we're not gonna have people backed out into the street trying to get in a drive-through with this particular setup? I know, I mean,
Yeah,
you
like
can't
25
predict
cars in the
how many
drawing.
people are gonna be
Well,
in the line.
Well,
I get
but that
it's
has
just-
been from the
Outdot.
first moment we saw this. And I believe Larry will tell you this, that was the first concern.
Yeah.
So everything about this is oriented, and we do have quite a bit, if you follow those lines, there's quite a
I think
bit
if
of
you-
stacking.
Back it up one more, and I think it shows.
Yeah, there's
look
your
at all those
actual
cars
cars.
in there.
And what we're not showing is here. And then when you hit that area, you can still,
Right.
try, get out in the other area. So ironically enough, in previous, we actually had a Starbucks chain that went in, and they usually want somewhere around 9 cars stacking. Well, that became a problem in an area where I was working for, and they move quick, but still they kind of get hit in a 30-minute window in the morning and can back up traffic. So we really looked at providing more than they require.
Yeah, it looks like plenty. I just wanted to make sure that is,
Coffee drinking people here.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We got a lot of coffee shops.
Yes.
But Aldot did see this.
They've looked
and-
at
and
this
they've-
as well, and
Yes, so.
Hey, Larry.
Hey, how are y'all doing? Larry Smith, SC Civil. Yes, when I first got brought on board, that was actually, I think, the first thing Hunter ever said about this project is we got to make sure we have enough stacking. And so we worked with the layout, and then also the reason it's configured the way it is in the one-way traffic is that if it gets out of its drive-through lane, it's not sitting out on Greeno, it is actually blocking their own parking, which would also incentivize them to get that pushed through. But that's how this layout came to be, is to make sure that we don't end up with what was happening for a little while in Daphne. This wonderful chicken place I don't want to name because I worked on that project as well. But y'all know what I'm saying. We didn't want the traffic backed out onto Greeno. So that's how this layout came to be. And yes, Aldott has seen this as well.
All right, council, we have a motion and a second. If there are not any additional questions, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Item number 10 is a resolution that the city council hereby approves and authorizes the city of Fairhope to execute a memorandum of understanding between the city of Fairhope on behalf of its police department, the city of Spanish Fort on behalf of its police department, and the Coastal Alabama Community College Police Department for the purpose of receiving and extending services in the form of a unified special response team with related services and resources extended to one another when such assistance is needed.
Any questions?
No, we wanted you earlier. I had
Yeah.
some really good stuff earlier, but
Sorry.
now I'm all good.
Trying to fix a traffic light.
Yeah.
No, I think we got some answers, just
Okay.
moving along as usual. And council, anybody got any additional questions?
Yeah, I think the biggest question was about funding, and was there any additional funding for this particular tactical unit?
Right. No, and there's not. There's no financial obligation between the departments from one department to the other or anything like that. I would think it's very similar to what the Fairhope Volunteer Fire Department has with the Daphne Fire Department in their agreement for assistance.
Just the ability to
Just
help.
the ability to help.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, very good.
Thank you. Appreciate your help.
Thanks, John.
Make a to approve the.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second.
Memorandum.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Item number 11 is a resolution to repeal and replace resolution number 4432-22. City Council approves and authorizes request by Mayor Sherry Sullivan for an additional one-year extension on the Maynard, Cooper, and Gale PC engagement letter agreement executed on April 11th, 2022 with a not-to-exceed amount of $96,000.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I just want to say that, just for the public, that, you know, we entered into a 6-month engagement letter with them, and I think that we've been very satisfied with the services that we've received. And in fact, I think that we're spending less for one type of agreement like this than a lot of other local municipalities are spending, but I think that we're getting a good bang for our buck. Not sure I would have said that, but I hope that we would say that, but now.
No, I think that's why we're kind of taking it like we're taking it,
Yep.
a little bit at a time.
Yep.
All right, council, hearing no further questions or comments, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item number 12 is a resolution that Mayor Sherry Sullivan is hereby authorized to execute a contract for professional engineering services for power line conversion along Magnolia Avenue between Bancroft Street and Church Street with Highline Engineering with a negotiated not-to-exceed budgeted amount of $75,000.
Make a motion, we approve.
Got a motion
Second?
and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. You know, I know this is based on 10% of an estimated cost of $750,000. I just want maybe a little bit more explanation about the underground utility. I mean, the distance between Church and Bancroft is what? Maybe 1,000 feet? Say 1,000 feet, so $750 a foot to go underground with, what's all going underground for $750 a foot?
It'll be our major feeder line going through there, which is a 3-phase line.
It's how big? Like,
That'll probably be a 750 conductor,
okay.
which is a big conductor to carry all the load. And I believe I've also got to put a switch gear in there to switch, if we ever have anything happen, to switch the load from one area to another.
So we're putting something this big underground, it's cost us $750 a foot.
Yes, sir.
Underground.
The switch gear was over $100,000.
So.
And it's all got to be bored.
$650 a foot then.
It's all got to be bored, and that's an expensive amount also, because there's so many utilities already existing. so we have to bore the whole thing. Luckily, a lot of the surface is already underground.
What does it cost us to bore a sewer line?
I do not know.
I don't think it's $650 a foot. I just question the cost again. I'm not convinced that that's a good price. It's $650 a foot.
That's why we were going to bring in another engineer group to give us a second opinion.
So we have had, this is estimate on the initial engineer that we had estimate the project. I think your council comments came back and said you would like to have a second opinion look at that. So that's why it's a not to exceed. This is the second opinion. So, but we're basing it off the initial estimate that we have, because right now that's the only thing we have to go by. Okay.
Because I might have to quit my council job and dig a trench by myself for $650 a foot.
That'd be smart.
Yeah, why can't you trench and lay it in there? Anyway. All right, that's my question, thank you.
Okay. All right, council, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of number 12 say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item number 13 is a resolution to award metal building, award bid number 23-4, metal building 50 by 100 by 18 truck shed for the electric department to Southern Steel Structures with a total bid proposal budgeted not to exceed $102,659.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item number 14 is a resolution to award bid number 23-006 to install new bay doors at Fire Station 3, located at Fairhope Airport for the fire department, to Bailey Door, Inc., with a total bid proposal budgeted not to exceed $58,378.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Bless you. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. 15 has been removed. Item number 16 is a resolution that the city of Fairhope approves the procurement of one 2023 Ford F-250 Super Crew 4x4 pickup or equivalent for the gas department from Stivers Ford Lincoln. The type of vehicle needed is on the State of Alabama Division of Purchasing Contract Number T191, and therefore does not have to be let out for bid. Total cost not to exceed $44,388.
So moved.
Okay. Got a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah. I think they need to be put on notice that if they're jerking the cities around, then that needs to stop. I'll
Well,
volunteer to call them if you give me the phone number.
yeah, and my comment would be is even if it was an innocent mistake in that they told you they had it on the lot because they reasonably expected to have it, that's still not the same thing. I mean, you tell us it's on the lot, it better be on the lot, and if they make the mistake in the future, we're gonna try to hold them to that mistake. I mean, that's, again, an innocent mistake is one thing, but if you do it more than once, then it becomes unacceptable. All right, I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item number 17 is a request from Randall Wright on behalf of the Friends of the Fairhope Public Library requesting permission to serve alcohol at its annual Chocolate and Champagne Gala 2023 on Saturday, February 4th, 2023, from 6:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. in the Fairhope Public Library.
Make
So
a
moved.
motion.
Second.
All right, I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Y'all go ahead and put it on your calendar and buy tickets.
Okay. All right, hearing no other discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item number 18, public participation for anything else that's on your mind. City of Fairhope related or otherwise. Come on up. Yeah, up
Yes,
here at the
sir.
mic.
All right, good evening, council members and everybody. Yes. I'm here today, my name is Cornelius Woods, and, I'm a veteran, United States Army. I did 4 years in Iraq. And the issue that I'm bringing up to you guys is, I had a neighbor that had put loud pipes on their vehicle, really loud pipes. And, And I've been living there before he had, to be honest with you. Our board members that in our neighborhood do not really care, they're not enforce anything, to be honest about it. So there are girl boy system that's going on, and I'm not part of it. And a lot of people are there feel the same way, too. They don't even go to the meeting, they don't even get involved with stuff. Anyway, this guy was part of that board at one time. Okay? And I feel that by not regulating things, people tend to get more complacent and be disrespectful to other neighbors. So they don't care, because nothing they ain't held to anything, any type of respect over another neighbor. Some people, they want to just keep down commotion and stuff, and they don't see anything. Some people also, hey, I can violate stuff, I can bring votes and stuff and violate HOA. And anything you do, I'm gonna say yes to it. And me, I'm not the type of guy. By me, I certainly my face on me and did everything I could to, protect others and do the right thing. And so I don't go with clicks and stuff like that. I just try to do the right thing by people. Try to respect people, but sometimes you don't get respect back. But anyway, to stay on target here, this guy's in front of my house. His garage is like one of the directly center of my house. I'm on the corner, so there's no other house on the left of mine, and there's a house on the right of mine. That's one right there. So then that's some other houses too down. But he put some loud pipes on there, professionally, whatever. But it was very loud, and when he put the pipes on there, I mean, it was so loud that it woke me up. I thought I was back in the woods. I jumped up immediately and went to go find out what was going on. And, I looked outside, but the car had left. So I'm like, what? I said, who does this? What the hell? Why is this happening? What's going on? And I never heard it before. It was never issued before. Before he moved there, and whatever car he had before he put the pipe, he never have issues with, that type of noise. Okay? But the sound radiated through my whole entire house. Because he put loud amplifying pipes on there, which is, the apartment in the garage is like a box, so we send a big wave back toward my house. And nobody can really hear it the way that we do. My kids can complain, but I say, Daddy, the car wakes us up. My wife said, yes, it's too loud. I try to deal with it also to see if I can get the situation. Trying to be negative about something. And I realized that I couldn't. You can't. It wakes us up loud and thunders. I even did a measurement. His house was like maybe about 100, maybe 50 feet, like his garage and 150 feet across the road. I put a decibel app on my phone. I read 78 on my porch, which is 150 to 160 feet from his house and mine. So when you start a car, it's from a cold start, it goes real loud. Then it comes down. And if I'm reading 78 from a warm start, and he's bagging out without even, hitting the gas, I can imagine, starting up with the hour, it's probably even, with him standing by his vehicle on his driveway, 20 feet, maybe 15 feet, it's probably over 100 decibels, more likely. If I can hear it back in there and it's waking us up, my family up, it's too loud. So I tried to talk with the guy, he told me, and he's not changing anything. We realized that he's not changing it right. I said, okay, that's fine. I can't feel some neighbor trying to talk to you about this. It really is distracting me and my family and causing some sleep problems. My wife and I have been up early because we anticipate the sound coming. Yeah, I know it's gonna come. So we are early than we're supposed to. And, not trying to tell him that. He said, well, nothing you can do about it. Said that he's gonna do what he wanted to do. And he said that he's not gonna change the lights off there. I called the council, I said, you know, call the council about it. He said, well, what they gonna do? They ain't gonna do nothing. I said, okay. I said, I appreciate you. I said, man, I said, I try to, you know, come talk to you, but I appreciate you try to take the time to, talk about it, but hey, I guess you don't care. I said, I don't care about you, what you think. I said, okay, that's fine. Call the cops. My wife said, well, I talked to, well, I didn't call the cops immediately. Here's what I did, because I want to get everything that had just happened. I went to my neighbor next door, and I explained to her, you know, I said, you know, I asked, can you hear? She said, yes, I hear so loud. My wife there beside me. Her bedroom is not too far from my bedroom, so I know she did. And I told her what the guy said when he said, oh no, that's disrespectful, that's not right. So I told my wife, I said, baby, I tried to talk to him, he said what he said, and she said, let's call the cops. So I waited till he got back, so I don't have to talk about that 10 times trying to look for him, you know, trying to talk to him to reach him. And so I called him, and the cops came out and talked with him and explained, you know, I know about the pipes, you know, but he did take some of the cops' words and everything, because when he started the vehicle, it was already warmed up, and the cop said, hey, that's it. He said, no, this is a warm start. He said he wanted to know what it sounded like when the cold started coming. But anyway, when the cop came back and said, hey, I said, there's an ordinance on there. We want to make sure that he's following the ordinance and it's not being disturbing to us. So the cop said, well, we're gonna do more study on the ordinance before we come back out and get that to the care of. But he said, so far right now, it's bothering you, it's most likely to now, you know. So I reached back out to him and everything a couple of days later when he came back to work, and he said, man, nothing that we can do because we don't have a decibel meter, prescribed, certified decibel meter. And I'm like, it's in the code of ordinance under 12.3 and 12.4. It's in there, 85, decibel. And they don't have a decibel meter. I said, well, we don't have one that we can enforce that. I said, okay. So it's okay if it's that loud, it's okay because y'all can enforce it. We don't have one, therefore we need one to enforce the ordinance. I said, okay. He said, in one of the sections down there, I think it's 12, I think it's in one of the motor vehicles, 12.4, down here by 12.4 D. Now, motor vehicles, the provision of this section should not apply to normal and usual operation of motor vehicle. I don't think that was normal, a normal vehicle, because he have to apply the vehicle, not a normal operation, not a normal vehicle that you buy already ready straight out the store, and it's not normal. I mean, the vehicle clearly.
Let me interrupt, so I can, sorry, so maybe get us to where we need to go. So how did it end? Was that your last interaction with the police at that point?
No, I had one more interaction with Captain John Hammond, and tried to speak with him about it, and basically he was saying that they're not enforcing it. The district attorney was not enforcing it or whatever. So I'm like, man, I said, really? I said, man, I just didn't understand what was going on. But he told me about the decibel meter and things like that they need to be able to enforce that. He did say that. But I just feel that something that, this need to be on the radar. Because it is in a residential neighborhood, it does bother the person behind that, that garage. I mean, it's really loud. It's really affecting me. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yep, please.
My address is 210 Southwood. Yes, I live in Fairhope.
Yeah, thank you for bringing this to our attention. John, will you? Can you shed a little light on this from your perspective, please?
Absolutely. So, from the noise ordinance, approaching it from that direction, I'd really rather have a private rather than a public conversation
Sure.
about the noise ordinance itself.
Right.
And the issues therein. There is a reason why we haven't replaced our outdated, wore out decibel meters as it relates to the ordinance. And then also, and the chief and I have actually been in talks about that ordinance and getting some updated equipment.
Okay.
But it all comes down to, having certified, calibrated, trained officers on the equipment, so that it holds up in court.
Right.
And then how it relates to mufflers, I'm not completely clear on that, and I think that may be something that, maybe with discussion with the city attorney, we can, or the judge, that we may could get some more clarity on. But in this situation, I mean, we all pass vehicles all day long with these loud mufflers on them. It's just very popular. It's not just kids, it's adults too. And, how do you address that issue across the board with all these vehicles? I mean, the vehicle he's talking about is loud, but it's probably not any different than my neighbor that has a Harley Davidson who cranks it up at 6 o'clock every morning when he rides it to work.
Right. Well, and this is kind of something that I've started working on here recently, is, and kind of getting back to the ordinance itself. And it sounds like there may be some specific issues with the ordinance that we need to work out to make it more or less enforceable from our end. And so to the extent there are those things, and John, I ask you to do this, and Marcus, I ask you to do the same thing. If there are things like this that are on our books that we know if and when enforcement comes, we're going to have a difficult time to do it, because either it's worded in an outdated way, or it's ambiguous in any way, or there's any other issue with it that we can fix as a body to allow you to do the job that you were trying to do, then let us know. I mean, that's important. And it might make a difference in this situation. I don't know that it would, but maybe it would.
This is a residential. I understand what, John said, it's motorcycles. I do understand all that. But if a resident make a valid complaint, not just driving down the road and hear loud noises. This is happening in the residential neighborhood. And if a neighbor make a complaint about that, I'm not saying that you're being tracked. Let me call it complex pipes. It's loud. It's not affecting your household. It's not affecting you on the road. I don't care about a lot of pipes that come down the street. I'm driving. It's not really a big issue. But when I'm in my house and my family getting woken up from these type of vehicles and stuff like that, it is becoming an issue, especially when they make a complaint about it. I don't think anybody make a complaint going down the street saying, hey, did this guy just come in with loud pipes? No, this is my house.
We do field other complaints on mufflers, it can be a noise nuisance. And the state does have a code that addresses improper mufflers, but in this but it doesn't meet the code, because this muffler is professionally installed, and he does have mufflers, and he does have catalytic converters on the vehicle, so it's not like he cut that stuff off and straight piped his vehicle, which would clearly be against the law. This is different, so that's why it's a little bit harder to address. Hey, I'm open for suggestions. I mean, as I explained to him, I wish there was a tool that I had that I could use to help him out. So.
Well, I don't know that that's something that we can fix in this room tonight, but it's something that we can discuss. Council.
Yeah, if I may though, I believe that if the police department needs a tool and we have an outdated, broken decimeter, there's nothing preventing the police department from coming to this council and asking for that. Because let me give you a different example. If somebody's having a rock concert in their backyard and you show up and you can't shut them down because you say, I don't have an operable decimeter, I'm going to have a serious problem with that excuse.
Yeah, well,
there's no excuse in that.
Excuse me for a second, Mr. Burrell. That's why I said I'd rather have the conversation with you in private, because it's larger than the decibel meters.
I understand training. I hear you on that.
Even beyond that.
Okay.
Even beyond that, like I said, without, that's why we'd rather be a private conversation.
Yeah,
There's
we'll just-
there's a reason why we haven't
Yeah,
replaced them up until this
yeah,
point.
yeah, thanks, John.
Yeah, I
I
yeah,
met her, yeah.
I get that, and that's why I said, if there's,
I talked to him.
there's some issues with
Well,
our
fill us
ordinances.
all in on it so we all
that-
get it.
That we need to address.
I'll tell you.
I appreciate that. And thank you for your time, and I do apologize. I mean, I sympathize with what you're having to deal with, honestly. And obviously, if there is something that we could do to help you or can do, we will have that discussion. But obviously, it's not something we can fix tonight.
Well,
Yeah, I understand. I just wanted to bring
yeah,
it up.
No,
thanks
thank
for
you.
presenting
Yeah,
it to us because
absolutely. Thank you.
Enforcing, and I'm thinking, hey, why not? I mean, you enforcing certain loud noises, you have loud music there.
Right.
Yeah.
Why can't you enforce?
Well,
You're right, Mr.
and-
Wood. So we're gonna work on it, and so this is something, that's why we're glad that you brought it to our attention, but we're gonna work on it and make sure that we continue the conversation and try to get our ducks in order.
And thank
All right.
you for your service, by the way.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I would just suggest, and it sounds like you've already kind of alluded to why this may not be a viable option, but I would get some of the other neighbors that are having the same complaint, and sometimes there's power in going to the association board as a group rather than just one individual and saying, hey, you know, all 5 of us are being affected by that, but it sounds like they're kind of tight with the people that are on the board and they're not going to do anything maybe, but.
I'm gonna speak to something real quick before Mr. Woods. Let me speak to something. I would, if this guy is listening or watching, whoever the neighbor is, that, you know, we all have rights in our society, but we also have responsibilities towards each other. And that means sometimes because you have the right, it's not your responsibility to do certain things. And I don't know if you can understand that, whoever you are, but what I'm saying is, when we have people that have been in war zones and they have been in combat and they have fought in some undesirable circumstances, putting their lives at stake for the United States, and they have, sometimes, you know, noises affect people in a way that's not the same way it affect you or the next person who has not been in those undesirable situations. So now you know that it would be your responsibility to have some type of godly heart and consider others and not just your rights.
Amen. All right, thank you very much for everything. Appreciate it. Anybody else for public participation? All right, closing that, we now have executive session. I'll read the letter. As City Attorney Marcus E. McDowell, I hereby request the City Council go into executive session based on Section 36-25A, 7A3 to discuss pending and potential litigation. As City Attorney, I hereby request that the City Council of the City of Fairhope rise from a regular City Council meeting on Monday, December 12th, 2022, to go into executive session. The City Council shall be in executive session for approximately 35 minutes. At the end of the executive session, the City Council shall return to the City Council chambers to resume the regular City Council meeting. No action. Okay. All right. Motion for executive session?
So moved. Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Still going? All right. As everybody back in here, I'll call the meeting back to order, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.